Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. Today I spent most of the day working on the 69 EV Beetle. This thing's coming right along. One thing I did was I realized I had one more area that I should do undercoating on after I thought I got them all. And that is some of the back seat area, or I just wasn't really happy with that being all kind of nasty looking. In case somebody ever lifts up the back seat or anything, I want them to see a nicely prepared area. The rest of these areas that look kind of gross, you know, they're gonna have padding and carpet and stuff glued to them. This area here, probably not, although we may actually cover those areas in vinyl. But you know, I thought, you know, let me just go ahead and undercoat those areas that might show. They may not, but either way, I wanted to just go ahead and do it. So hopefully that's it. I hate undercoating. It's a pain. It gets everywhere. Luckily, the overspray of it, even when you mask it, it still ends up getting overspray everywhere. It cleans off pretty easy with gasoline and a clean towel. Anyway, so once I finished that, I went ahead and started pulling the wiring. So on these cars, on the later ones, the main harness runs along the floor right here on the driver's side. And then the voltage regulator sits right here by where the heater channel connects from the engine compartment to the body over here. And then the main harness runs through a big grommet here, kind of up over the fender well, and then comes into the engine compartment about where it does on most of these cars, right there. And so yeah, I went ahead and pulled the main harness and started connecting the rear taillight harnesses. So I got those connected on both sides, you know, the grounds. The wires are just hanging out waiting for their bulb holders and so on. I pulled the harness for the dome light because the headliner is going to go in on Wednesday. I pulled the front turn signal harnesses through, pulled the headlight harnesses through, although I actually need to pull them back out once the conduits come, but I just went ahead and run them as a placeholder for now. The other thing I realized is I did not buy a fuse box yet. I want to put a new fuse box in it. Hopefully I'll get that tomorrow. So for now, pretty much just have all the wires kind of dangling here waiting to be connected. Most of these go to the fuse box. Some of them go to, you know, headlight switches and so on. So I need to actually dig out the headlight switch, the wiper switch and stuff for this car, start restoring them, checking them, make sure they're functional, and either clean them up and restore them and use them or buy new ones. So yeah, the wiring for this is starting to come along pretty nice. Hopefully if I get the fuse box tomorrow, then I can get the wiring mostly done, except, you know, things like turn signals that I don't have. On this car, since this car is kind of a modified car, I'll probably go ahead and put H4 headlights on it. They have a lot nicer beam. They're a bit brighter. You know, the lens on them is a little bit flat, but I think on this car it'll look kind of cool actually, and again give them better headlights actually than regular kind of sealed beams that would normally come on these cars. So that's it for the 69. Yeah, a lot of good progress. I'm pretty happy with how the wiring is coming along so far. These cars are kind of a pain to wire compared to an earlier car just because there's so much more wiring. For this car being an EV, some of the wiring that we won't be using. So for now, you know, all these wires here that normally go to the motor, the generator and stuff, I just have them kind of looped off like this. I do that to wires that I'm not going to use. Later I'll figure out what to do with these. I may just snip this off and tape it up or tuck it back in here somewhere. It'll be covered by a panel. Got a big pile of wires over here that we're also not using. Brake light warning switch, we don't use that. This one goes to the starter, coil, stuff like that we don't use. So I'm kind of starting a pile of wires and labeling them so I know not to try and use those. So Rafa was in about half a day today. Unfortunately, he wasn't feeling well, so he went home around lunchtime. he did manage to get the front and rear brake drums on, so this chassis is pretty much done now. That was one of the last few things that needed to go on here. They had some powder coating on them on the actual brake surface, so he had to spend some time cleaning that up. The fronts, he had to pack bearings and put in bearing races, all that kind of nonsense. It ends up taking a lot longer than you'd think it would, but yeah, so this chassis, I believe, is pretty much officially done now, so that's kind of exciting. Now he can focus more on the motor for this, which he did. So this motor today, he put the flywheel on. We weren't really happy with the machining of it, so we sent it out and had the clutch surface remachined. Actually, I don't think it had been machined at all, so we want to make sure that had a fresh surface on it. Got it back. Rafa installed it today. He went and cleaned up the oil cooler, installed it. This motor, for some reason, had the wrong generator stand on it for a 40 horse. I don't know why, but it had the ones with ribs on it, which is for a later car. So we went and we actually had the correct one in our stock, our inventory. So we cleaned that one up and installed it. So, you know, this is going to be a really nice restoration. So we want all the correct parts on this motor. So we got that installed. That was about it. Again, he wasn't really feeling that great, so he worked for a few hours and then went home. So that was it for today. Lots of progress on the EV, you know, the wiring and so on. And then on the 64 One Family, basically finished off the chassis by installing the drums front and rear, and then a little bit of work on the motor. So that's it, guys. Hopefully Rafa's feeling better and can put in a full day tomorrow. If not, then hopefully he'll get better soon, one way or the other. So I'll see you guys next time. Thanks, bye.